the lockdown period, and we all have witnessed on the television as well as read in the newspapers how the use of alcohol, the bars, restaurants, everything had to close down. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, there is one way of looking at it. So, you have stopped the availability, and you are going to have a huge impact of people suddenly becoming sober, coming out of it completely. Now, that can be seen as a punishment. Okay. So, you are going to stop it. And what is the person? We all know a lot of people went through severe withdrawal states. Okay, severe withdrawal states to the extent of people, ending their lives. Okay, going through severe medical conditions, seizures, confusions, and probably more physical problems, and trying to get it in black market, paying more money, and also just because they drink also they are becoming more aggressive, violent with their loved ones. So all these things have been there. Now there was an opportunity. Okay, some people thought permanently you ban.
Right.
Okay, but what did we do? Then there was again another lobby to say that you open up.
Right.
So there is also an element of economics here, okay, to try and balance it out. Now I'm restricting my conversation here only about alcohol, but the fact is, see, we are in a democratic country. Let's not forget that, and we have a voice, okay, and people having a blanket rule that it should be banned, it should not be made available, or punishing everybody who takes it or who sells it is not going to be the solution.
Right.
So you have to look at, fair enough, there are some states in our country also, naming Gujarat, who have done it, who have banned alcohol. But then I get to hear somewhere it still continues, okay, in spite of the ban, and there are people who we also see who have problems, okay, who continue to come. So it not really has given you that kind of results to say that a blanket ban is going to be effective as such.
Right.
And in a country as large and as diverse as ours, can we enforce it? Okay, is it scientifically proven to say that, look, you have to punish this person who uses it or sells it, or how are we going to take it forward? I'm glad we are having a conversation here about it, and of course we are raising questions, and I'm sure there will be a lot of viewers who will have their own opinion too. But the fact is, from a medical point of view, we have to look at it, it is a problem.
Right.
So we have to restrict ourselves to say that, look, it is a problem. How it has been created, there are a number of theories for that.
Right.
But what we could do is how to look at an individual level, how to help the families, as she was talking about, and how, working individually plus probably continuing to educate the people at a larger way. They will be sufficiently educated to learn what is right, what is wrong, when to say no, and how to make it forward. Otherwise, in a strict way of, like in the Middle Eastern countries, I really don't see that happening in a country like ours.
So that's a very valid point. I'm sure you're seeing it at a first person. I mean, at a first person point of contact. A lot of them who are coming to seek your help as well, doctor. I think that's a very interesting view. I really wanted this view to come out so that we have, for Ms. Soumya Reddy, she looks at it from the perspective of where two different point of views come. I'm sure, ma'am, you have a take on this, and where does punishment draw a line?
Okay, so I'm not for criminalizing the user because he is a victim.
Right.
He is a victim. You need to recognize that. It's a disease. You need to understand that. And putting him behind bars is not going to help because he's going to have withdrawal symptoms. He may probably, connect with antisocial elements. He's going to get worse because he needs treatment. It's like putting somebody who's got a disease, putting them, no, it doesn't help. So he needs to be in a treatment center where he's receiving counseling. Maybe he needs medication, etc. So the legal angle has to look at it from that point of view in terms of, but there has to be a legal sanction where, see, there are three kinds of people who are, involved here. One is the peddler, the other is the casual user, then the other is the hardcore addict. The casual user, becomes an addict later on, probably depending on his mental composition, which doctor would be able to throw greater light upon. So you're talking, but you're dealing mainly with the addict. So the peddler is sort of supplying only because there's a demand.
Right.
Right?
Who necessarily may not even be dependent on it.
He may not be dependent.
Yeah.
So you have to criminalize that. The peddling has to be, there has to be legal sanction where you're able to. It's not like they put in, 15 days you're inside and then you're going, because once I do remember, if I may say so, I happened to go to the police station 3 years back to complain against one of the casual users who had actually introduced my ward to the drugs, and that person continued to give my ward, the number, the peddler's number. So I went to the police station and complained, gave the peddler's number and gave that particular individual's number. All the police said is, ma'am, I think it's not going to take you anywhere, because I can catch this peddler, put him inside for 15 days. After that, with political clout, he's going to come out. So where are we here? So somebody is continuing to supply. Okay, so that is one thing. I think the politicians need to see this. There's a lot of, I'm sorry to say this, but there's a lot of nexus between there are bigger fish here than the smaller fish. The smaller fish are very, very small.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
We don't have to
yeah.
say that.
So I think there's a complete, there's a complete ecosystem which needs to be addressed. So that is one thing. It has to be criminalized. If you're going to say it should not be, there should not be legal sanction, then all these guys are going to be out there selling, like a cigarette, like alcohol, and then where is our society going to head for? And then you have the casual user who doesn't, it's not affecting him, at least as of now. So he thinks it's okay, hey, come on buddy, let's smoke up or whatever. So I think he is not a victim. He is actually just a user. So I'm not saying, again, he should be criminalized. In a way, he's also a victim, because he thinks his awareness is not there. So he thinks it's fine. Like you were talking about pleasure seeking. He is thinking it is a pleasure, harmless pleasure seeking, where again you're talking about what is pleasure. That is something we need. That's another angle we can talk about. But I think then you're talking about the casual user. Most of the times he is prompting the addict, because the addict doesn't have access most of the time, because the family is closed in. So then you need to also address the casual user, where you are sensitizing. Maybe you have a legal sanction where you pull him up, have a collaboration with some centers, and make him stay for a couple of days and actually interact. So I think the
So you're
law
trying to
has
bring in a differentiation between the people who are the users
Yes.
and the peddlers, and
Yes.
saying, while you criminalize the people who are involved in the nexus
Yes.
at a larger level, but
Yes.
but for the users, give them an opportunity to recover from
yes.
there. and
Depending
give them
on
a-
whether you're casual or whether you're an addict, you need to give a different kind of treatment. And I think this is where centers like yours going to play a huge role.
Right.
Because you are the ones who are going to be the change makers going forward. You need to work to create awareness, because people don't have the awareness.
Both of you actually said extremely valuable points. I mean, this particular topic, addiction, I don't think it should become it should not be a TRP issue. I don't think, I mean, just for like a couple of months, you're suddenly kind of yelling, screaming at each other, and then there's like victim blaming, but I think, like you shared, this is always, I mean, it is somewhere it's been kind of like an open secret. There is a nexus. Why is that we were talking about only some particular people in the media, but not about people who are, I don't know, politicians' kids, or like people who are like, rich, who have access to it, and it's like it's an open secret that it would be going on in parties and whatnot, rave parties. I think so many of us have heard of it. Like you shared, sir, it's like people who are actually listening to this, even young people, people who have loved ones, and I think it's very important for you to reach out, get help at the earliest, and I think it's trust me, even people who are dealing with it in at homes, in their own, it could be school, it could be, I mean, I know it's not related to class, mind you. I know, I mean, a 10-year-old child was selling ganja in one of the slums in my constituency. Why is that they have access to that? How did the child get
Very
it?
true.
And I think it's very important for us to go back to where these sources are, dealing with peddlers, and especially, I mean, going to the root. where is that they have access from. And I think having very, very strict implementation of cutting down access at all levels, and also and I just hope that we're not having, at the end of the day, this is impacting a lot of people. This is impacting a lot of youth. Talking about numbers and statistics is so important. That is multiplied by at least about 3 or 4. That is so many families. And that's their entire lives, their youth, their career.
Yeah.
And I think having such conversations at a very young age, in schools, in colleges, is just so important.
Just to bring to your reference, the insurances still don't pay for addiction treatments today while we speak. So there is a denial of access. That's something that we as individuals, families, would probably seek policymakers to voice out. Enabling access always increases. We have more Indian mental health qualified and mental health professionals outside of India than in India, because there's no ecosystem, or there's spaces for people to be around here.
So there is a need to have a coordination, better coordination between all the agencies, okay, and clearly you have to have statistics right. Now that's unfortunately in our country where, identifying the problem itself is a big task.
Right.
Okay, many of them hide, many of them don't want to share that. And so you need to get proper statistics, you need to get the implementation of the act right. And as and when necessary, you have to, whatever it calls for amendment. Only thing is to make it less traumatic for the families, and certainly the person should come forward to get treatment. I keep saying that because he has to come forward, he has to recognize that and make the decision, because we all know a well motivated person is the person who is more successful in coming out of it.
Our step in having this conversation and even troubling you to travel all the way here, ma'am, is to really say that this had to be shot in our own treatment center. And these treatment centers are not closed doors. These are not what one perceives of a recovery center or a rehabilitation center, even to the days of asylum, right? So it is a space where your dignity is respected. You have space to move around. You have space to express, and you have space to recover, right? Recovery has always got a recovery rate. Relapse sometimes are part of the recovery. But we really wanted to break stigma, and to break stigma, what better way than to really invite people over and say, let's have the conversation here.
Now, as somebody who would be watching somewhere about this program, I certainly think, look, you're not alone. There are a lot of people who are there who may be going through similar problems.
Very
but
true.
Please do not hesitate to seek, because I'm very proud of with our professionals, and we have the best of environment. Whatever you choose, be it the outpatient, wanting to talk to the professionals, psychologists, counselors, psychiatrists, who have the adequate skills, expertise, and who know how to help you out. So my suggestion to any family member or any person who is out there is, because of all whatever you have seen in the media, don't hesitate. Please approach, because earlier the better leads to the best outcome. So I would like to end with saying that help is out there. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with us.
That's a wonderful message, Doctor. Thank you. It puts me on a note to say that there will come a time where we will start talking about mental health literacy, and we will be in the forefront to be having this conversation where it will come down to mainstream, and we will have to have this conversation. It could be awareness, it could be trainings, that is going to stay. And there will, I'm sure, I'm optimistic, there will come a time till, like the West, there would be budget for mental health. Along with the health budget, there will come a time where there will be mental health budget. We are just one organization, but I'm sure we've impacted more than thousands of lives, or tens and thousands of lives. Here's our attempt to say that here we are for genuine conversations around mental health, and this time around is addiction. And I can only reaffirm the fact that addiction is an illness. Please respect it. Don't get lost in the noise that has already been done around. Anything that you have to ask will be replied. Anything that you need to know will be answered. Anything that needs help, we are always available. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.